The Cat's Whiskers podcast is proudly sponsored by the Bunkers Hill Hockley. Don't miss Panthers game day offers, including Coors Light at £2.50 a pint.
Hello, good evening and welcome. We are live in the Bunkers Hill for tonight's pubcast. Not a podcast, it's a pubcast. And we're going to discuss the Panthers' home doubleheader, Elite League news and other results. There are some results still to be played out, so we might do a sort of a hockey Sunday in the style of a soccer Saturday later on, depending on how those games are going and how much we have to talk about. But around the table...
Sending off, Jeff?
I don't know, Jeff. Around the table tonight with myself is Adam Reddish.
Good evening, everyone.
Balm.
Hello.
And Jono Bullard.
Who?
Yeah. That bloke. And in fact, I'm actually going to hand over to Jono straight away because Jono did not have the benefit of watching Saturday's game against the Cardiff Devils. So he's going to be asking us all the questions about that.
Hello everyone. Right, so Panthers with what can be described as a largely unexpected 7-2 victory over the league-leading Cardiff Devils. Panthers goal scorers, Robert Lakovic with 2, Brett Polini, Zach Phillips with 2 on the power play, Luke Pither and Alexander Mokshantsev. Opposition goals coming from Matthew Myers and Mark Richardson. So, Paul, that one was pretty much unexpected.
Wasn't it just? Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody... Well, I mean... You know, playing with Cardiff, you never know, you might get a victory, but coming out 7-2, yeah, I mean, it was one that Cardiff will want to forget. It was different from the previous games we had this season, because when we went ahead and. So I say I didn't see the fight in them that had been in the previous games, like the one where we had the weird last 5 minutes where about 4 goals were scored, 2 of them empty nets or something crazy like that. I think there was almost a certain acceptance from Cardiff. But having said that, I don't think it was a 7-2 game, because I thought Cardiff played pretty well.
I mean, Adam, do you agree with that? Cardiff played pretty well. Was it just that the Panthers on the night were that much better?
Yeah, I think no team in the league could have lived with us last night. You could see almost from the first shift, when the puck was dropped, that we just wanted to go out there and make a real statement. And obviously, with what's been announced in the week just gone, it could have been that the players wanted to show that they're actually better than the place in the league table suggests. So it was really welcome. I thought it was the best performance that we've turned in for months. And I'm just picking up on what Paul said about Cardiff. I thought they were okay. I think they might have been taken aback a little bit by the way that we started the game. We came out the traps really, really quick and looked really purposeful. And I think maybe Cardiff might have been a bit surprised by the sort of energy that we played with. So, but we beat the team that looked destined to win the league at a canter, quite comfortably. I'm just frustrated that we haven't seen those sorts of performances more often from Panthers in the last 3 months.
Cardiff have struggled. Well, they historically have always struggled at the NIC, but this season they pretty much streaking the way to the league title once again, but they can't seem to buy a victory here.
No, but I mean, I think the key thing to remember in that is that they're probably not going to lose a massive amount of sleep over it. And as we speak at the minute, they're delivering a fair thrashing to Edinburgh. So they've got enough of a buffer. So as this they'll obviously go back to the drawing board, have a look at the video, and everybody will be, forced to watch the performance over again, and they'll look at what they did wrong and try and put it right, which they're probably putting into effect tonight. But they do have enough of a cushion, so as the loss itself probably won't trouble them. And also, obviously, Edinburgh did them a favour by beating Belfast, so the points cushion still stands. The Belfast couldn't capitalise on us beating Cardiff and to edge closer in the title race.
I mean, Paul, there was several exceptional performances last night. Garnett has been mentioned having an outstanding performance. Probably quite a surprise that he got the start in the net over Patrick Galbraith. And also Robert Lakovic scoring the first 2 goals within the opening 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, in both cases. What did you say about Garnett? Surprised he gets the start. We're coming up to a weekend where we're going to play 3 in 3 days, so both netminders are going to have to take a part in that, and maybe it was felt Garnett needed the ice time, but Lacko took, well, it's probably a good job Lacko scored the first goal, because he sort of got in the way of Phillips' shot after it had gone through bounds to begin with. But I mean the second one though was a great stretch pass from Tetlow. To be honest, we've been hitting those passes all weekend, and he was a standout for me. You're looking at the agenda going, oh God, he's talking about that too soon. But I thought he had a really, really great game. Great couple of games, to be honest, and really showed that he's worth that place on the team.
Yeah. I mean, Adam, who sort of stuck out for you last night in the game? I mean, we've already mentioned Garnett and Lakovic, but who else do you feel had really good games?
I thought Mokshantsev sort of got his mojo back a bit last night. He was skating like the Mokshantsev of the early months in the season, where he had that unpredictability about him. You couldn't tell what he was doing from shift to shift. Not in a bad way, but he just had that sort of magic or ability to do something magical. And obviously, the goal he scored was cracking, because it was great hand-eye coordination to bat the puck out of the air and put it in the net. Even though Cardiff thought it was a bit on the high side, it wasn't. So that was a waste of a challenge. But yeah, I mean, Mokshantsev was good. We might be talking about Tetlow, but it was encouraging to see Tetlow get a few shifts, and he showed that he doesn't look out of place at this level. Obviously a little bit raw, but didn't let anyone down. And obviously Garnett, I think Garnett's been mentioned, hasn't he, already, but he made some fantastic saves last night. Real sort of jaw-dropping saves that you don't really expect the netminder to make. He's got no right to make them, but he kept us in the game, and then obviously gives us a platform to go on and run up a big win. So yeah, I'd say that Garnett, Mokshantsev and Tetlow were probably my 3 picks from last night.
We'll move on to Tetlow, and Tina, you've been banging the drum for Josh Tetlow for many a week on the podcast. He gets a semi-regular shift last night, grabs an assist. You must have been very pleased with that performance.
Yes, I very much was. I mean, the first thing I noted about Lacko's second goal was, yes, what fantastic hands. Good to see Lacko scoring with confidence. But what a pass from Tetlow, as Paul's already mentioned. That pass was absolutely fantastic, and it's good to see him making those positive plays like that. Even though, he's such a young guy. You can see the potential in him. It's nice for him to get it. My only gripe about last night regarding Tetlow was that I felt we had an opportunity to use him more, especially when Vasquevo was injured. We could have put him in for more shifts and allowed Mosey or Lindhagen to move up. And I mean, we did that tonight, but I'll leave that one there as a statement while we move on, until we move on to that game. But yeah, I am always an advocate of the young Brits. Tetlow in particular, because I'm excited to see a Brit defenceman, because there's so few of them about, so it's nice to see a Brit defenceman with some promise. And just to sort of go back to all the players, Lacko and Betteridge are working so well together. Last night they were fantastic, and also until Vasquevo got injured, you got the line of Pither, Vasquevo and Delago. They seemed to have fit together quite well as well, and that's carried on into tonight as well. Pither and Delago have been on the same line pretty much all night, and they've been working well together. So it's nice to see some bits and bobs of chemistry around the players.
I'm going to move off agenda slightly, and a question I really want to ask of you, because obviously I wasn't at the game, so I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any highlights. I don't know what sort of performance it was, but how much of a bearing did the announcement on Wednesday of Corey Nielsen leaving at the end of the season have on that result, do you feel? Paul, we'll start with you.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of talk about that they were playing with more freedom, and because the systems weren't there or whatever. And you think, well, Nielsen's still coach, so he's not giving them entirely free rein. But I mean, maybe that took the pressure off. I don't know. Maybe he said, right, nobody's expecting anything anymore, and the team reacted to that. I don't know. I really don't.
Well, no. I'll come in on that one, just on the back of that. I would actually say, and I've seen a couple of tweets about it actually tonight, I would say that the pressure is actually on for some of the players, because they don't have the comfort of knowing that it's going to be the same head coach next season. It could be somebody completely new to the organisation, who doesn't know who they are. And so as it stands at the minute, unless Gary Moran and Neil Black start signing contracts on the next head coach's behalf, they're playing for a job. So that might actually have stuck a rocket up a few backsides, quite frankly. So there is weight to what Paul suggested, but I also think there is weight to the flip side of that coin, where it's going to be a completely, it could be a completely blank slate. So everybody is out to make an impression.
I think what it comes to say is that we don't actually know one way or the other. It could be anything. But now I'll let Adam expand on the fact that we don't know anything.
Adam, over to you.
Well, I don't know anything. I'm privy to no inside information, so sorry to disappoint everyone on that. But I think Tina's right there about the players wanting to show, like I said a minute or two ago, that they're better than their recent forms suggested. Because we saw how good they were during the Champions Hockey League campaign. We know that they're skilled players. We know that they're more than competent. And this lull that we've been in for the last couple of months has been awful. So when the news was announced that Corey was departing at the end of the season, hopefully the players might have felt a pang of responsibility about that and thought, crikey, we've not actually done the job for our coach. Have we let him down? So it might be too little too late, but let's go out there and let's show a full house in the arena that we're good hockey players and we can play good hockey. And they did. It's probably the most convincing home performance of the season in the league. And that's frustrating in one way, but it's good in the other. And, it's probably too little too late now. Well, it is too little too late. But it was good to know that that team that we saw in the Champions Hockey League is still there, albeit way too late to challenge in the league.
Okay, I think we will leave Panthers against Cardiff there and move on to Panthers against Braehead tonight. So, Tina, back to you.
Hey, I have the mic of control, or something similar. It didn't feel like control last time we did a podcast, but maybe I'll be able to rein you all in this time. Anyway, so yes, we have just come over to the Bunkers Hill following the game against the Braehead Clan, which ended as a 4-3 overtime win for the Panthers. Panthers scorers were Clark on the power play, Pellini, Pither and Sove with the overtime winner. Goals for Braehead coming from Doty, Schofield on the power play and Oslansky. Jono, you've not had much to give your opinion on yet, because obviously, as you say, you weren't there on Saturday. So we'll kick off with you first. Didn't we make our work of that?
Wasn't it so typically Panthers?
It was so typically Panthers.
We were cruising. We were 3-0 up. We looked very, very comfortable, and we let Braehead back into it. And fair play to Braehead, because incredibly short benched. Third game in 3 nights, and I honestly thought tonight would be a blowout. Russell starting in net for them, a very good netminder. I mean, I wouldn't actually describe Russell as a backup netminder, because he had a long run in the team last season. He looks a very, very competent man in the net. I wouldn't be surprised to see him getting a call up for the Great Britain team this season, to be honest. But even so, we should have probably put them out of sight long before they got one back, and as soon as they got one back, you saw our heads drop, and they got 2 back, and then that third, it was I tweeted, well, wasn't that just inevitable? It was inevitable. And I suppose in a way, because I was working yesterday, I didn't see last night's game, so I probably saw the wrong game this weekend.
Yes you did.
Yes, I've tweeted about how, I've only seen, this is only the 4th game I've seen in 2018 for the Panthers, and I'm just not feeling it anymore. I'm really not. Okay, when Braehead equalised, in the past I would have been angry, I would have been raging. I just laughed, and this is what's really scaring me at the minute, is the fact that I'm so apathetic to it. And as most people know, I'm an incredibly passionate hockey fan, and it's almost as if I don't care, and I don't want to feel like that. It really, really scares me. But anyway, we got the win, and that's all that matters, is the 2 points.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think tonight the 2 points mattered a little bit more, because Braehead are in 8th place, just behind us, and they kind of feel that, what points we've got aside and what games we've played, aside, they have got us in their sights. So getting the points was vital to both teams. Braehead are trying to hold on to 8th spot. Just because we have discussed this before I sort of hit the record button. A little bit of controversy over Clan's second goal, perhaps, but only Mike Garnett seems to have any kind of protest about it. Possibility of goalie interference, Paul?
It looked like that to me. I mean, obviously it was probably from... I was at the other end, but it looked like the Braehead player knocked into Garnett, knocked him off his feet, knocked him out of the way of the goal, at which point they come in and score. And then, almost straight after that, one of their players seemed to go through Garnett, and you could tell Garnett was should we say, having a conversation with the referee. And it looked like it did unsettle him for the next few minutes. And, well... I'm not entirely sure I'm a huge fan of the 4 official system. Sometimes you look at it and think, well, 1 or 2 would be nice out there, but there was stuff there that if I was part of the Panthers organisation, I would have been questioning. But I mean, if you want to talk about the whole game, it probably sums it up by it was 7th versus 8th, and quite frankly, it looked like it.
Yeah, You're probably not wrong with that assessment, actually. Well, I mean, we've waxed lyrical about him already, but it would be remiss of us not to just have a quick chat about Tetlow's performance tonight. Aside from about the first 2 or 3 shifts, Tetlow was getting regular shifts until Clan's second goal went in, and that allowed, surprisingly, Lindhagen to move up to the forward lines rather than Mosey. Stevie Lee was taking on sort of shadowing duties for Tetlow. Pair of them did well. Adam, Tetlow?
Yeah, I mean, I think people probably know my views on Tetlow, fairly similar to yours. He's a really promising young British D-man. Tonight, again, I was going to say he doesn't put a foot wrong, but he took a penalty that Clan scored on. So,
well, I mean that's maybe a little bit controversial in itself, because I think there was a bit of a tussle at the boards, and Tetlow was called on a retaliation, which I think earlier on in the game there was I think Brace. He took a retaliation slashing penalty.
Yeah, but Tetlow's showing that he's prepared to mix it with bigger, more senior guys on the ice. He didn't look out of place, didn't look overawed. I think his size counts for a lot. If you've got that sort of size as a hockey player, you can make it, to your advantage in a big way, and that will be a big factor for him as he sort of matures into a more regular, D-man for the Panthers, hopefully for the next few years with us. But tonight, great stuff. He plays a smart, simple game. He keeps things basic. Doesn't try and overreach himself. Passes just been joined by Aaron Lord.
The Lord's alive.
Right, I've lost my train of thought completely. No, I haven't. But no, he doesn't do anything too flash. Doesn't do anything too fancy. Makes the simple plays. Although, going back to last night ever so briefly, what a tape-to-tape pass to Lacko for Lacko's breakaway goal. To think that your young Brit D-man can do that is great, and I'm really looking forward, hopefully, to Tetlow being part of this Panthers team for the next few years.
Yes, that would definitely be nice. Now, one thing I commented on to all you guys before we started recording, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but after Panthers' second goal went in, I saw a switching up of the lines. And that start sort of, I don't know, it seemed to kick off a bit of a period and a half of instability, and I don't know if I'm imagining things, but did anybody else notice that there did seem to be a definite period where it started to go wrong?
No, as soon as you said it, I was like, I can't honestly say that I noticed it. But then again, I did have a 2.5-year-old that I was trying to control for most of the game.
Well, yeah, and it is obviously one of my bugbears. So obviously, if anyone's going to notice it, see ya. And I thought I could control you guys tonight. No. It just seemed. I don't know if there was maybe somebody who went off. I couldn't spot any absentees or anything like that. But it just seemed a little bit odd. Obviously nobody else is sort of nodding around the table, so that's obviously just me. Okay, so. But yeah, Panthers have got two kind of vital points, if you will, that keeps us in playoff contention. We really need to get those in. We've got a difficult weekend this weekend up in Scotland. Before we move on, as he's just walked in and got his pint and sat down at the table, Aaron,
yes,
give us a quick assessment of this weekend from your view, both games.
Obviously very happy with the 4-point weekend. Last night, I did think we'd win last night, but I didn't think we'd win in obviously the style that we did. Very, very pleasing. Thought we came out of the traps extremely well. I don't know about what you guys have already said and how you felt about it. There's always somebody in the corner, isn't there?
Have you got your mum's jumper on?
It's always the little ones.
Very true. But no, I thought after obviously the news of Corey Nielsen leaving, which we obviously talked about, etc., a lot of people that I know and a lot of conversations I had, it was kind of like we expect the pressure to be released and we come out and play a bit of hockey, which we did. I thought, obviously with Lacko's first 2 goals, the second, which I thought was extremely well taken, kind of emphasised that. Very, very good goaltending from Garnett, made some exceptional saves. Fancied him for MOM, if I'm honest. Pither, you could talk about the whole weekend as a whole. What a difference he's brought to the team. Energy, kind of really that directness when going into the offensive zone. Great result yesterday, and then today, what do you say?
A load of
today?
meh.
Well, very, very uninspiring, really, wasn't it? But we, we got the win in the end, and that's all that kind of matters. 4 points, it's another victory. You take the positives out, the fact that we got the win. Yes, they clawed it back, etc. But the main thing is we got 4 points, and we go again next weekend.
We certainly do, with a Scottish triple header now. Paul, you've been signalling at me that you want to say something before we move on.
Well, I just think we've wasted the last 25 minutes. You just get Aaron to come in and summarise it and everything.
Do you like my mum's jumper?
I do like your mum's jumper. Yeah, it suits you. That coral pink really suits you.
We're not on TV anymore.
Oh, that's why I'm describing it. It's a round neck. Looks like it might be a home knit. Was it? Did you knit that yourself? Or?
Is it the fashion show?
Not looking at that. No. Now I just wanted to ask a question, because it's something I thought of and ask of everybody, even Aaron. Who I'm sure will just agree with Adam anyway.
I agree with Aaron.
I wanted to ask...
Aaron's agreeing with me today, apparently.
We're doomed. We really are. I just wanted to ask how important you think Evan Mosey is to the team, because when we had our usual December, he was out the team. We've just gone through a period where we've not had another slump. He wasn't in the team. He comes back, we start winning again. What did people think of that?
Go on, Adam.
I think he's a massive part of this team. I think he's a really, really integral part because of his speed. I don't want to class him as one-dimensional or anything like that, because he offers more to the side, but his speed alone really helps our transition. And it means that we can stretch other teams, because they've got to drop a D-man back, and he just keeps other teams more honest. He's hard to mark. Guys from the teams we play against have to think about their position on the ice. Moses is really, really good. He's fast. He gets into positions that are dangerous. And Paul's right. We did miss him massively through December. We looked really slow, maybe even tired, one-dimensional. But Mosey just offers the side something a bit different. I think speed in any sport is a big sort of difference between a good team and a great team. And when you have someone like Moses sitting out of the side for any length of time, you're really going to suffer and struggle, because you just don't have the sort of speed and the ability to get the puck from one end of the ice to the other as quickly as you possibly can.
Well, just on that, as like an additional question then, just to tag it on to Paul's question, when Tetlow was getting regular shifts, it was actually Lindhagen that was moved to the forward lines. Was that the right thing to do? Anyone?
I wasn't here.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
Was it the right thing to do? Then obviously it was, because we won both games. Was it surprising? A little bit, if I'm honest, but I think maybe, I don't know. Obviously Corey had a reason why he put Mosey on D, and it's been successful. I don't really have an answer to why he would be put on D when Lindy's been playing there for the last few games, but I don't know. Does he think that eases him back into it, or kind of
maybe takes the pressure off him coming back from injury?
Exactly.
Perhaps.
You're not expected to score points on, like if you're on D, get your shifts out, just get back used to being on the ice, etc. in game situation. And I mean, let's not forget, a lot of people think, there are a section of people think that Mosey is a better D-man than he is a forward, because you can use that transitional play with his speed, which may be a kind of side effect of him being on D. But
and Jono's furiously shaking his head at the side of Aaron there.
Yeah, I just think it may be just less pressure, like you said.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Okay. So, sorry. Yeah, Jono.
I think Evan Mosey was brought in to build the team around this season, and I think it's unfortunate that he suffered those two injuries, which has kept him out for two big blocks of the season. And I would be very, very interested to see the number of games we've actually won with Evan Mosey in the team, and when we have them.
Oh well, that might be that might be me getting my spreadsheet out tomorrow then.
Yeah. But because the thing with Evan Mosey, he's so quick, he's so skilled. You can build a team around him, and I think that's what he was brought in for. And it's very, very interesting to, like Paul alluded to, the season started to go south as soon as he was injured. I think we won the first two games he was injured the first time, and then we had the December from hell. And when he came back, oddly enough, we started winning again. Then he's out. He's out again. We lose a load of games. Then he comes back and we start winning. I think Evan Mosey is pivotal to this team, and I guess you could say he's the one that makes it tick, that makes it click, that makes it happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, that being said, you know, hopefully next season's head coach is already clued up about who he needs to be talking to. No, well, we'll move on to that in a moment. Does somebody want to get the current results queued up just in case we want to talk about them? Just before we move on to the other Elite League results from this week, normally at this point we would do Player of the Week, but Paul hasn't kicked off the poll yet, so we will. Will be. Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, no.
There's something going on out the window.
It's a removal company called Russell's just pulling up outside. I'm making up. Seriously, it's there. Look, it is there.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So make of that what you will.
Well, yes. What was I say? Yes, Player of the Week. Normally we would do that at this point. It will be announced on Ask TCW, which it will be going on ahead on Wednesday. So we'll just run through a couple. This week's been quite congested, actually. Wednesday night we saw 4 games. No massive surprises through those games, I would say. Edinburgh Capitals have had 4 games over the course of this week. The most surprising of those games actually came yesterday, where they beat the Giants in Belfast 4-2. Anybody saw that one coming at all?
No.
Liars. No. Paul sticking his hand up in the air. You're a liar. You are lying.
No, I'm just stretching my arm out.
I mean, I tweeted about it. I said that I did think there was a win coming soon for the Capitals, but I did not in a million years expect it to be in Belfast.
And it's nice to see him break that into that double figures.
Nobody is happier than the Caps fans right now that they've actually managed to break double figures. Bless them.
They're probably not, because given what Cardiff are now doing to them.
Well, yeah, it's not looking good at the moment for them. Also, what was the other surprise result I wanted to talk about? Yes, that's the other one. Yeah, Belfast misery compounded this weekend. They had a win midweek against the Stars, but nothing this weekend. Thanks to 12th placed Edinburgh and 11th placed Milton Keynes. So Adam Keefe talked about yesterday, no excuses, we need to get back to work and move on. That they haven't quite got back to work, so watch this space next week for Belfast. I'm sure they're going to have a few cobwebs to blow out and a few scores to settle there. Hang on, sorry, Jono.
Well, I was just saying, with Belfast sort of blowing up over the weekend, and then you've got Manchester winning. Mm-hmm. Manchester are currently, I think, 3-2 up in Guildford. They've moved into second place. If Manchester win tonight, they're 3 points clear of Belfast.
9 games, you say, Adam? Yeah.
I think it was 7 before this weekend, and they won last night, and they look like they might win tonight. So 9-game winning streak's incredible.
Let's be honest, Cardiff are hot favourites for the title.
They would have to have a serious meltdown for them to not win the league title.
They would, but how dangerous now are the Manchester Storm? Because nobody expected this. I mean, even when they were third place earlier in the season, everybody said, yeah, the bubble will burst. And they did fall down the table. I think they got to 6th or 7th. They've climbed right back up there again. And I think a lot of credit has to go to Ryan Finnerty for pulling that team.
Part of it is, though, what you've got to remember is that they will have Rosal coming back fairly soon. All right,
I was going to say,
he's going to get himself banned again.
I was going to say some credit has to go to Jay Rosal for getting himself banned.
Somebody's got to fight them curtains, because those curtains are scary. Yeah,
them curtains are not going to fight themselves. Yeah, so the table is looking fairly interesting, or from second down to sixth. It is a bit of a dogfight, but we're getting some really, really unexpected results, aren't we?
Yes, we are, Tina. I mean, and that's the joy of the Elite League, isn't it, really? I mean, we say it, and we've said it for many years, really, on this, podcast and even back to the TV show, but you just never know. You really do never know, and I think it's getting more and more like that, which is great, and that's how it should be. But it's, I think, obviously, as us as fans, we're kind of thinking, seventh? We've won 2 games on the trot. We've got four points, and we're still seventh, etc. Where we're going to finish, but you just never know. And I don't know what you guys are thinking, etc. But there's people going, right, well, if we, if it finishes this weekend, we face Belfast, we face Manchester. You just never know.
The permutations are incredible for who everybody could face in playoffs.
A lot of hockey still to be played.
Oh, ding, 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 ding.
But Paul's absolutely right. The thing is, you can't. I think you can pretty much nail on that Cardiff will win the title. I thought
he was going to say qualify for the playoffs. So.
Well, they have already qualified for playoffs. Yeah.
Cardiff will win the title, but after that, could you predict second to eighth?
Yeah, no, not at all.
And not at all. Cardiff will win the league.
Although I am hoping that Sheffield Steelers blowout will happen and they'll finish in ninth.
Not going to happen.
I'm sorry, Jono. I don't think you're going to get that Christmas present that you so desperately want. We'll just run through Sunday's results. So if you can just queue up those games still in progress, please, Jono. Just the other results that have happened today. The Lightning have beat the Giants 5-4.
Lightning 3-word weekends in, boys and girls.
The Lightning scoring with less than a minute to go, I believe. The Stars. Hang on, let me have a look here. Fife and Dundee went into overtime. Fife taking the extra point there. Oh yes, and that means, thank you very much for reminding me, gentlemen. That means that Fife are the Gardner Conference champions.
Not that anybody cares about.
No. Now that the seedings have been tinkered with for the playoffs, it matters not a hoot. It's just a trophy, quite frankly now. Coventry and Sheffield currently is in overtime. That is a 3-3 scoreline. Edinburgh are hosting the Cardiff Devils, who, after being a bit sore, losing 7-2 in our barn, they are giving Edinburgh a 9-2 thrashing currently. And Manchester and Guildford, that is in the third period, and currently Manchester are winning 3-2. So there's your soccer Saturday, but it's actually hockey Sunday.
We're sending off Jeff.
I saw him go off, but I thought they were bringing on a substitution. So we'll leave the results there. We'll move on to the other big news this week. We've obviously already talked about in our special podcast on Thursday that Corey Nielsen is leaving the Nottingham Panthers at the end of the season.
What?
I know, right? But a couple of days later, we have another bombshell in the fact that Pete Russell has been announced as leaving the Milton Keynes. Leaving Milton Keynes at the end of the season. Adam, you've got an interesting theory about this, haven't you?
Job swap. Hashtag job swap.
Hashtag job swap.
Channel 4 programme.
It could be.
Very disappointed with wife swap. That really wasn't what you said on the tin.
So yeah. In all seriousness, the rumour mill has absolutely gone into overdrive. Corey Nielsen announces he's going to be leaving the Panthers at the end of the season. Pete Russell announces he's leaving Milton Keynes. Everybody's putting 2 and 2 together. They may actually be getting 5, but yeah. And we've just seen Russell's removals go past the Bunkers Hill. So it's a bit of an odd week, really, isn't it? It's been a fairly quiet news week, apart from 2 massive bombshells, 2 coaches moving on. So, who wants to come in first? Go on then.
Well, I have seen the hockey version of Jim White in his yellow tie outside the NIC.
Was Harry Redknapp there with his window around there?
And he reckons there is a massive transfer on the way. No, in all seriousness, I don't know whether I think I've said it in the Cats Whiskers group, WhatsApp group, but it wouldn't surprise me if Pete Russell ended up here.
Yeah.
I think Adam's talking absolute tosh when he says that Corey Nielsen's going to Milton Keynes Lightning. I don't see Corey Nielsen coaching a team in the Elite League next season.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Why would he go to Milton Keynes Lightning? Not Milton Keynes. He's just got a team to the last 16 of the Champions Hockey League. With all due respect to Milton Keynes Lightning, next year's going to be their second year in the Elite League. Why would he go there? But Pete Russell coming to Panthers, I can see that. I can see it from the Panthers' point of view in the sense they'll think, British coach, head coach of, GB, done very well with GB, did quite well, has done well with Milton Keynes Lightning in the last few years. Obviously, I think they'd be disappointed with where they are this year, but very different, coaching style to Corey Nielsen, a lot more vocal, a lot more kind of aggressive, kind of hockey in that sense, gritty. That sense, but I can see it. And it wouldn't surprise me at the slightest if that was the appointment that was made at the end of the season.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to be disparaging or cast aspersions, but it is a fact that Pete Russell currently at this time has coached a team, albeit it's the first year in the Elite League, he's coached a team to 11th place. Are we happy? Would we be happy, in theory, if Pete Russell is coming to the Nottingham Panthers with that sort of record?
It's a difficult one. I think I'd be disappointed, but at the end of the day, he's going to have a much higher budget at Nottingham than he would have at Milton Keynes. And at the moment, it's only supposition. I think there is probably a lot of 2 and 2 being put together and getting 5.
Of course.
If he was a coach, I've got to be honest, I'd probably be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah.
But as Aaron says, he's done very well with GB. He got the GB team to a gold medal. He knows certain players on the Panthers team very well. So David Clark, Evan Mosey, he's worked with them. And also then, does that make Panthers attractive to other British players, other top British players, if he is the coach?
Well, just a question on that, because, if anybody has got the reputation to nurture the talent of British players, is it not Corey Nielsen? What was Pete Russell got that Corey Nielsen hasn't in terms of British player development?
But on that, why is Pete Russell the head coach of Great Britain and Corey Nielsen only the assistant? Interesting question. Let's just sort of touch on that point that Jono has made in terms of the facilities and the budget that he would have. Do you think that Pete Russell has the potential to be the right coach, the right fit for head coach of the Nottingham Panthers, given that what he'll have will probably be more substantive and more expansive than what he's got at Milton Keynes?
We really don't know, do we? Look at the end of the day. This is all complete and utter supposition. He might. All right, we've just seen him moving in, but he might. We might be putting 2 and 2 together and making 5.
Absolutely, yeah. This is all theoretical questions. Obviously, it's all speculation.
But I reckon it's going to be a Russell Clark dream team. Yeah. I reckon that's what's going to be happening. We were talking. On Thursday night on the sort of the special podcast, listen to it if you haven't already, people. About and some of us were saying that somebody who knows the Elite League is vital. I'm not entirely sure that's correct, because he could have people around him who know the Elite League, and so he doesn't have to. But I really don't know. I think it's a bit too early. It's all a bit coincidental, but I could seriously see it happen. The only thing for me is, does he then keep his GB role?
Yeah, and I suppose that is a question mark.
Yeah. And if he does, then I'd like to see him use it like Paul Thompson did, as essentially a recruitment exercise.
Adam, anything to add on all of that?
I'd be a little bit underwhelmed by Pete Russell being coach of the Panthers. I mean, okay, first season coaching in the Elite League for him at Milton Keynes. Obviously Milton Keynes' first season in the Elite League, and I know they pulled out a great result today over in Belfast, but the season by and large has been really disappointing for them.
3-word weekend, folks.
Yes, thanks for that reminder, Aaron. I might be being sort of seduced a little bit by the Panthers and their sort of size and their, organisation and the stature of them, by being arguably one of the biggest. Well, they're certainly one of the biggest teams in the Elite League, and I just think that, as I said on Thursday, it's probably the right time for someone totally new to the country, in my opinion, to come in to the Panthers and give the organisation the shake-up that it needs from behind the bench. The reason I don't think that will happen is Moran won't leave, Black will still be owning the club at the start of next season, and is a new coach from the outside going to come in and be able to make the impact that they should do without feeling that they're very, very influenced by off-ice factors? I don't think so. So even though this club is crying out for change and a different sort of approach, we won't get it. I think Pete Russell would be an easy option, certainly easier now that he's been not released by Milton Keynes, but he's going to leave at the club at the end of the season. And Panthers have got form for making easy decisions. So if you add up all those things, I think that Russell could be the head coach next season, but I think that would be a backward step for the Panthers. And even though, like Paul said, he could use it to maybe act as a recruitment tool to get the best GB players over to the Panthers, I don't think that Pete Russell is the name to bring the Panthers to where they need to be and challenge consistently for league titles year in, year out. I think we need someone with more experience of winning leagues rather than someone that is an easy fit because they're available. So we'll see what happens, but as Paul's pointed out, the removal man is already in the building, taking Corey's desk away and bringing in Pete Russell's desk and paperwork and filing system. So get your money on, folks. It looks like it's a dead cert. 8-1 favourite.
Oh dear! Just in case you missed it earlier, Russell's removals went past the Bunkers Hill. Don't read anything into that. Don't read anything into the literal statement that Adam has just made. Okay, so yes, the rumour mill will continue to spin until an actual appointment is made to replace Corey Nielsen, and we'll leave that discussion there. I imagine that there may be one or two questions on Ask TCW regarding that on Wednesday, so we'll leave that where it is for now. A couple of other bits of news from the Elite League this week. Flyers have signed Dan Carrill, who did make his debut this week, and Kieran Long has extended his deal with the Manchester Storm. So not an awful lot of player movement, but a little bit going on for the final push towards the end of the season. So we will move on to the games coming up this weekend. I don't believe any of us are going to Scotland, are we? No.
Not next week.
No. yeah. Alan sat at the side of us, our audience tonight, and Alan is going to Scotland, so he's. Oh, he hasn't. He's not able to go in March. Well, we'll be able to gloat in your general direction at that point then. Yeah, that's fine. You'll fit in the booze, not a problem. So the upcoming games for the triple header this weekend. Friday, the Panthers will be at the Dundee Ice Arena to take on the Stars. Saturday versus the Five Flyers in Kirkcaldy, and on Sunday the Edinburgh Capitals. So, in terms of form, the results are sort of heavily weighted in our favour against Dundee and Edinburgh, even when you consider home and away. Fife, not quite so clear cut. I don't think anybody can really say that they do well in Kirkcaldy, quite frankly. Well, yeah, all right. Well, I didn't think I'd have to make that distinction, but okay. So, are we? I mean, when it comes to talking about triple headers in the past, I think one thing we have kind of considered is the order of games. I seem to recall a triple header where we ended up at Fife on Sunday, and that was quite possibly the sort of hardest deal that could have come out of that. One question I suppose I got: are we happy with the order of the way that? Do you think that might help us with the games this weekend?
Well, you don't know. Belfast probably thought that with it. We'll play Edinburgh on a Saturday. We'll be fine. I don't know. I mean, you looked at it, and with all due respect, you looked at the easiest one to win is, the Edinburgh game. You looked at it and think, well, it's on a Sunday. Maybe that would help, but I'm not entirely sure I like the 3-3 idea. I know it cuts down on the travelling, all this, that and the other, but I think, I mean, it doesn't matter now, there's no serious challenge, but I think I don't think it helps. 3-3 I don't think really helps, so whether the order has any effect, I don't know.
What are the chances of 6 points this weekend?
I think it's going to be difficult. It's not impossible. I think 4's probably more likely. I think victories over Edinburgh and Dundee are more likely. 5 is going to be very difficult. They're a very, very good side and they're formidable at home. I would be pleased.
Are they doing well in 5 then?
They're doing very well in 5. I would be surprised if we got a victory in 5. Pleasantly surprised. It's not impossible, but I think it's going to be difficult. Edinburgh and Dundee less so. I would expect us to get 2 points in Edinburgh and Dundee.
Yeah, now this season we have played 5 twice, once home, once away, and we've only taken a point from them this season, so that's probably a decent shout. Aaron, you were at the bar when I was asking this question. You're not going to Scotland this weekend, are you?
No, I'm not, although apparently there are rumours about going up to Edinburgh on Sunday.
Are they confirmed?
Don't ask me why.
Unconfirmed?
Don't ask me why. Family rumours.
Family rumours.
Family rumours.
You're going to escape randomly and go up to Edinburgh on a Sunday night.
Well, I don't really want to. No.
All right. Okay. Well, that's. Rumours of Adam's trip to Scotland are. Aaron's trip to.
You've got Adam on the mind, haven't you?
If I haven't, I think we need to be a little bit worried. I'll ask you the question as we're as the microphone is sort of over in your direction after a fashion. 6 points, any chance?
No, I don't. I pretty much kind of agree with what Jono said, to be honest. I think does it go Dundee Friday?
Dundee 5, Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Ooh, so Edinburgh on the Sunday.
Oh, that changes things for the Lord.
Changes me slightly, because I remember every time I've been up on a Scottish treble header, we've always had 5 as the last game.
Okay.
And that's where, we kind of struggled energy-wise, and we've lost, and you can tell why we've lost. 5 on the Saturday. I'm going to go 5 points. I think we'll get an overtime loss in 5.
Okay.
But we
do owe them one, to be fair.
We'll beat Dundee on the Friday, Edinburgh on the Sunday, and we'll lose an overtime or penalty shots on the Saturday.
Well,
5 points, and I think you've got to take that.
Well, I think you take 4 points.
And anybody around the table would not be unhappy. Would be unhappy with less than 6.
Well, I think it's realistic to expect that we'll get less than 6. I think that 5 fixture is going to be the most difficult one for us. They're in strong form at home this year. They've just won the conference tonight. Is next week's game going to be their first game since they win the conference? Have they got a game in midweek? Because I'm sure they want to make a big thing about winning the conference next week. So be an even louder and noisier atmosphere than normal in Kirkcaldy?
Well, perhaps, but I mean, with the as I mentioned earlier, with the playoff seedings having been changed, the conference win, it means absolutely nothing there, really.
It means nothing in terms of playoff qualification, but it still means something in terms of a trophy in the cabinet.
Well, it depends. I mean,
and it's the first time they've won it, so it's the first bit of silverware they've got in their Elite League history. Obviously, they won lots of trophies before the Elite League, but I'm sure they want to celebrate that. But just getting back to the actual playing of the games, I think Aaron's right. I think if Panthers get a point from an overtime loss or a penalty shot loss next week against Fife, I'd consider that to be a point gained rather than a point lost myself. Because are we really? Well, look, we're 7th, Fife are third, 4th.
It depends how their games have all finished up to that. I'm not quite sure where they are.
But,
second to 6th, there's a bit of a bit of a mess at the minute.
But it's quite congested in there. But look at it this way: when you go to teams above you in the league, you don't expect to go there and just get 2 points unconditionally. So we're going to have to work really hard. We were close last time in Fife. We pushed them all the way, but just got edged out quite late in the game. But I'd be disappointed if we drop points against Dundee or Edinburgh. So I predict probably 5 points from next weekend's 3 games.
The Grinch of sports has 5 points.
Absolutely.
My word.
I'm in a new sort of mood of positivity after this weekend.
I agree with Aaron.
I agree with Aaron.
Adam McGraw. Oh God, let's not have that again. Paul, you wanted to say something on that?
I think we'll get 2.
You're not confident to 6 points then?
I'm not confident, full stop.
Paul's back, everybody. Right, okay, we'll leave all that there. We will be back on Wednesday for Ask TCW. We do have a guest on this week in the form of Craig Anderson, who is the other half of the Elite League media team. We've had Rob McGregor on already this season, so we figured we'd get his other half in, as it were. So send in your questions for that. You can send in us questions about this week's news. Corey Nielsen, Pete Russell, both electing to leave their respective teams at the end of the season. Elite League media questions, anything to do with ice hockey, the Panthers, etc, etc. You can send in those questions via Twitter if you send them on our Twitter page at CatsWhiskers.TV. We have a Facebook page, we have a thread on the Cage Forum, or if it's quite lengthy, but please don't make it War and Peace, you can send it via email. Aaron, I've once again had a blank on the email address. Go.
tcwonlinetv@gmail.com.
Thank you very much. So we will reconvene in our separate areas for Ask TCW. We won't be in the pub. Oh, boo! And don't forget. Well, that's good for you. We will also kick off the show with the Player of the Week, which Paul's going to set off at some point soon, and we'll tweet that out as soon as it's live. So make sure you get your votes in, send us your comments, and if you want to send us an Ask TCW question on there, you can also do that. So all that's left for me to say is thank you very much to Aaron Lord.
Thank you.
Jono Bullard.
Thank you very much.
Paul Balm.
Thank you.
Adam Reddish.
Thanks, everybody.
And thanks to Alan, the audience. Thank you. I've been Tina Taylor. Good night.
This edition of the Cats Whiskers podcast was brought to you by the Bunkers Hill Hockley.